my name is Justin Amon,
I'm Joshua.
and you're listening to Tales from a Ghost Hunter. We're a podcast that talks about everything and anything paranormal. And on today's first episode, we're going to go straight to our expert, Josh Amon here, and he's going to talk about what we're going to get into today.
So we're going to go over debunking, paranormal versus reality. So debunking is anything that disproves a haunting. Footsteps, being proven by expanding and contracting wood.
Mm-hmm.
Light effects being explained by cars driving by. Orbs being explained by dust and bugs.
Mm-hmm.
And most people think, why would you disprove, paranormal activity or something that people think is paranormal activity?
Yeah.
And the simple answer is because I want the truth. I want to give the right answers, not what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So if someone wants their house to be haunted, great. That's not my job.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you say are some examples of times that you've had to go do exactly that, pretty much? Just go to someone's house and tell them that your house isn't haunted, it's this.
So the perfect example of that was a family that called us in, and their claims were demonic haunting.
Mm-hmm.
They said that the mother said her son was possessed. The coffee table walked across the room. They were seeing crazy things, doppelgangers of her daughter, which is, basically seeing a duplicate of that person in a different place, different time.
Yeah.
Without them being actually present there. The mother said so much as to being like that her daughter saw herself at a college campus, and that's outside of the home.
Yeah.
But to get into more of the investigation part of that, we started the investigation by really diving in and looking at the external factors.
Yeah.
So EMF is something people don't really think about. It's electromagnetic fields that's produced by electrical equipment, wiring, your cell phone.
Yeah. This is the EMF detector here, actually, right?
Yes.
And then if you notice, if you hook it up to or if you put it against the phone, you can see how it goes off like that. And it's because it's picking up my electromagnetic fields.
Exactly. And anything above a 2.0 is harmful to the human body. Now,
so 2.0 would be on this scale.
2.0 on that is the first or the second green light.
So it's almost getting in the yellow.
Exactly. So the first green light on the EMF meter there is the control light. The second light is reading that 2.0. So I also have meters that read actual milligauss, which is the unit of measure for electricity. Mm-hmm. And it reads it in numbers. So we use that in their home. Their electrical panel read at 99.99.
So what would that be on this thing?
On that, it's completely maxed out past the red light because the one you're holding doesn't read that high.
Wow.
So, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Paranormal equipment is not meant to be reading that high. The other one I was using is an electrician's tool, which is what these are based off of. And the electrician's tool reads a higher range of milligauss because it's supposed to make sure that there isn't, a harmful amount of electricity. And anything above a 2.0 is harmful to the human body. Now, it starts at, feeling uncomfortable and unnerved. And it goes all the way to nausea, vomiting, stressed out, hallucinations, having just overall anxiety. And that's a lot of what I think this family was dealing with.
Yeah.
So their electrical panel, like I said, maxed out my meter. And it was leaking into the rooms at, 10, 15 milligauss. Now this is, in some of those areas, that's 0.8 to 12 above an acceptable level. Normally when you use an EMF meter like that reads out the numbers, your base rating in a home is 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, which is well under that 2.0.
Yeah, which barely lights this thing up, right?
It wouldn't even light it up
Mm-hmm.
because the first light on an EMF meter is a 2.0.
Oh, okay.
So, it wouldn't even light up the EMF meter. So that's why at a lower level, those are acceptable rates. That's why when we see that start to light up, we know that it's above what it should be.
Yeah.
And that could have easily explained them seeing a walking coffee table. And it easily explains them feeling unnerved and unhappy, like not being comfortable in their own home.
Yeah.
Explains maybe the doppelganger activity that they were experiencing as hallucinations.
Yeah. Or it could have just been that they found someone that looks like them.
Exactly. So, which is completely reasonable.
Yeah.
As far as demonic possession in the house, her son had a lot of guns in his room, a lot of ammo, a lot of...
Wait, what? When did this happen?
So we asked to go into his bedroom, and the son wasn't present. She said he wasn't there. She wanted us to be there. Why he wasn't there? Because he wasn't okay with us being there.
Yeah.
And she said she thought he wasn't okay with us being there because he was possessed, and the demon didn't want ghost hunters there.
He specifically said no ghost hunters. Like, did they ask him about it?
They asked him about it, and he said he didn't want us there. Now, in my opinion, like, I understand he gets his own opinion, but as far as I know, it's mom's house. She should get to choose who comes in and out.
Yeah.
Why she was afraid of him, I can totally see, because his room was filled with guns and ammo. I wasn't very comfortable after seeing that either.
Yeah.
So I think, there might have been some other issues that her son was dealing with.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you don't need me to investigate your house. You need the police to investigate.
Exactly.
This isn't my job.
I'm a ghost hunter, not a superhero.
Yeah.
And we did a full investigation. We used a spirit box, which is a device that reads AM/FM radio, runs it through in millisecond. So it's like snapping your fingers every channel.
Yeah.
And full sentences, full voices, laps 4 to 5 different channels, and create words that, shouldn't come from those channels. And that's how we kind of try and get some communication verbally. Other than that, we look for, EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon, or we were using motion lights in the house, trying to get anything moving, caught on camera. But we got nothing. We got no EMF hits other than what was wrong with their house.
Yeah.
They talked about somebody walking on their roof. Expanding and contracting wood causes that problem.
Yeah.
Their house was literally just wood paneled roof. The house was built in the 50s, so that's why the electrical was so bad.
Yeah.
Their plumbing was really bad. It was old, ancient. You flush the toilet, you hear booming through the hallway.
Yeah.
That was one of their claims, is that there was knocking noises and booming. And so, and a lot of people not understanding the way their home goes together and how they do things in a home to build it can cause people to think that there's something wrong. There's a haunting. There's something going on they can't explain.
Yeah.
And people turn to the paranormal for this.
So when you come in and you automatically just start taking down like data. It sounds like you kind of you use like the scientific method in what you do a paranormal investigation.
Exactly.
Which is that like a common thing in the paranormal world as far as like is this what most investigators do, or is this kind of a different style that you're taking on?
So some paranormal investigators follow the same kind of style I do, where they try to rely on data, rely on equipment. Some rely on mediums or psychics or sensitives. Some rely, heavily on their equipment to the point where they don't debunk, but they're just there to try and catch evidence.
Yeah.
I try to do the best to meld all of that together. So, I start with that scientific method, and then once we've stripped everything down, I jump in with equipment and try to record and catch data to prove that we are finding a haunting.
So, if most of it's debunking, but there are times where it's something where you can't really explain it, and maybe it would fall under the paranormal category.
Exactly.
What are a couple stories you have about that?
So we did have a gentleman that reached out to us, sent me some security camera footage, and I'll put the photo he sent us up on camera for those watching on YouTube. In the photo, you see what looks like a high chair, a kitchen, and on one side, there's what we thought was some kind of activity. Um, and I'll circle that on screen now for everyone. So what we see here is that it looks like someone's standing there. It looks like some kind of woman standing in the photo. There wasn't anybody in that should have been in this photo.
Yeah.
His concern was the high chair was really dark. Now the high chair is made of plastic. It's not conductive to light. It doesn't reflect. And he's shooting an IR in that video because it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So there's no light bouncing off that. I couldn't understand why he was so focused on the high chair when there was clearly something standing in the photo.
Yeah.
Um,
So he didn't really even notice
He didn't even notice the actual paranormal activity.
He was just like, I don't understand why this is a black spot in the photo. It's like,
Yeah,
it looks like a dark spot.
Yeah, and his biggest thing was he was really pushing his mind's ability to cause something called pareidolia, where it's what allows us to see Jesus in my toast or a face on the moon, or something creating a pattern.
Yeah.
It's what allows children to see shapes in clouds.
Yeah.
And some people are capable of doing this at a much higher level. And what he was doing was he was letting it run with it. He was just letting his mind run with this concept and create a completely new world. He was telling me that he was seeing cowboys, old Western scenarios and sceneries, and he felt like there was a woman being battered, in these scenarios, and that it was the cowboy being possessive, and that's the whole reason he wanted us there. Now, we did an investigation. We did find activity. We caught a baby crying. We caught a woman's voice fairly close to the mic.
Yeah.
To the point where you could tell she was in the same room. And we had no female investigators. We had no children present. It was literally me, a male investigator, and the husband who decided to be present for the investigation.
Is it possible that the female might have been like a neighbor or something in the neighborhood? Or
So for it to be somebody in the neighborhood, it would be much more muffled than what we caught because she would be outside the building, and you would hear it, the difference of it going through walls and being muffled. What was caught on audio was clearly in the same room.
Yeah.
And I had a camera in the room. The room is empty. So same thing for the baby cry. The room is empty. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
So, and obviously we're getting that audio on the recorder in the same room.
So would you say that going through this and stuff, it seems like that it can have like similar effects, like whether it comes out as something's actually happening or something just isn't happening at all, and they're just trying to find a reason why or whatever it may be. But it sounds like that the way that they meet in the middle is, I feel like that both cases you seem to get like this kind of hysteria that comes out behind it, or just something that's making it more than what it really is.
Exactly, and a lot of the times it's our mind trying to find solutions to the problem, trying to give us a conclusive answer as to why these things are happening.
Yeah.
And people allow themselves to get lost in some of these concepts. The woman whose house she thought her son was demonically possessed, she was very upset when we found nothing.
Yeah.
She felt like there had to be something. There had to be a better reason. The gentleman with his house that was actually haunted ended up having his wife move out with the kid because he got so obsessive over it. Even though we talked to him very adamantly about leaving it alone, just letting it go, because what he was looking at was way beyond what was actually caught at the location.
Yeah.
And what was found at his home was residual. It was unintelligent hauntings. It wasn't interactive. It was an imprint on time.
Yeah. So for those listening, just to explain more, what exactly a residual haunting is.
So a residual haunting is, like I said, it's an imprint on time. It's energy displaced that stays at a location. So it's the same door opening at the same time every day of the same day of the week. Whether the door is present or they remodel and the door is gone, you will still hear that door open and close at that same time, same date, same scenario every time. It doesn't interact. It's not intelligent. It doesn't know you're there. It doesn't know it's there. It's just an action being replayed over and over again.
Yeah. So leading out of this and stuff, to those listening that may be going through a haunting, or whether it's something paranormal or just something maybe in the normal, just in everyday life, what advice would you give to people that are experiencing that kind of hardship right now?
So anybody having that kind of hardship in life, paranormal or not, it's always best to just stick to your main story. Don't get sidetracked by the side missions. Take everything with a grain of salt.
Well, before we go, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But before we do go, Josh, you have some books out and stuff, and I feel like this is a good opportunity to plug some of your stuff, right? I mean, this is a podcast about pretty much what you do, so shameless plug promotion. Here we go.
Yeah. You can find Tales from a Ghost Hunter on Amazon Kindle and Kindle Vella. That you can buy it all as one combination of stories, or you can read them individually. The first 3 are free on Kindle Vella. There's also another series in the works. It's going to be a children's series called Monster Hunter. You can also look us up on YouTube, and we're going to be on the podcast that'll be found on, what was the...
So right now it's just going to be on, well, for those of you watching through here, it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Spotify. You're going to be able to find it on Anchor. If you are also a podcaster and you might use the app Anchor, you can, once again, you can stream through there. If you want to help out the podcast, you can actually donate. Just click the link in the bio if you're listening to Spotify. We're be sure to include it into YouTube as well. But if you want to support the podcast, as you can see, we don't have crazy looking setup right now. And, for those of you watching us through the pixels and all that, if you want to make that look a little bit better, maybe you can throw a little cash our way. So just click that link in our description, and be sure to like and subscribe and all the stuff that all you youngins are doing. Thank you once again for joining Tales from a Ghost Hunter. I'm Justin Amon.
I'm Joshua Amon. Thank you again. See you soon.
Have a good night.